privilege to interview my friend Christina Leimena. She's going to be talking to us about diabetes awareness today. So, Christina, welcome to the Breakfast Show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Joseph, for inviting me.
Well, our pleasure. Christina, before we start, can you give us a little bit about your background in health and why is diabetes an important topic to you?
Yes, so my background is actually in medical research. I work right now as a director for the Adventist, and I also work as a consultant for earlier wellness. And my research area before was in cardiovascular. So I was trained here in Sydney and at the Victor Chang Cardiac Research Institute, which is affiliated with University of New South Wales. And then after that, I went over so that was mainly in inherited heart disease. And then I went over to Loma Linda in California. And that's when I did a bit of research in hypertension. And so, diabetes is a big problem, and it affects actually a lot of people. I mean, my grandmother had diabetes, and it's a disease that affects us because of lifestyle habits that are not necessarily conducive to our good health, ranging from how we eat and as well as how we move and how often we move or lack of movement and a whole bunch. It's multifactorial and it affects all different kinds of racial background. So
So it looks like you have quite a passion for medical research, quite an interesting experience there. And then diabetes, as you mentioned, it's a big problem. Lots of people are affected by it. Lots of people that I believe they don't know they have it, they actually do have it, but it's very closely related to lifestyle medicine. So what are some ways that you are raising some awareness towards diabetes at the moment?
Yes, we have actually a program that's coming up this Sunday, on Sunday 29th of June at 10 a.m. if you are in Sydney. And we are actually having a brunch. And it's a free brunch. We call it a diabetes awareness brunch, where there are going to be a free meal provided. There will be a blood screening when you enter. There will also be a lifestyle medicine doctor speaking, and also a dietitian will be sharing, and a diabetes nurse practitioner will also be sharing. There will be some giveaways as well. So it's a program that gives us a bit more of an awareness on the understanding that diabetes can be managed better, and even if depending on how your body is and the severity of the diabetes, you can actually go into remission, which doesn't necessarily mean that you will never develop it ever again. It just means that your body goes into a state where it no longer is able to actually function well without having to depend on medication.
So where is that brunch located in Sydney?
That will be located at Mountain View Adventist College in Doonside in Sydney. So 10 a.m. Now, registration is absolutely essential. Because we need to know how many people we need to feed. And so we are asking people to register, and that's at bit.ly/GSAH brunch. And so that's the link for people to be able to register and say, hey, I'd like to come. And we are closing it by Thursday evening. We're wanting to know how many people will be feeding. But yeah, I think it's a really good way to kind of create conversation, and like about 4.6% of Australians struggle with type 2 diabetes. And so that's like 1.2 million in Australia. Now,
wow, that's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
And these are the ones who are diagnosed, right? Could it be that their actual number be even higher than that?
Absolutely, because there are people who are also pre-diabetic, and so that's before it becomes your blood glucose is still a little bit lower compared to those who are type 2 diabetes, who have type 2 diabetes, sorry. And so yeah, people who are pre-diabetic, you wouldn't know, I guess, until you get yourself tested. You'll have some symptoms of tiredness and a few other things, but it's there are some things in which a lot of people may not naturally know until they get themselves tested, and it's also one of those things that reminds us we need to get our blood checked regularly. And that helps to also nip things at the bud, right? Yeah. And to prevent things from getting worse.
So, Christina, can you help me to understand a little bit? So we often talk about diabetes. It's definitely a word that is not strange to most Australians, but what exactly is diabetes? How does it happen? What happens in the body that we classify diabetes? And you mentioned there type 2 diabetes. So are there type 1, type 3? What's the difference between the different types of diabetes? Let's start with just a definition so I can understand what is diabetes exactly.
Yeah, so diabetes is when your blood glucose level is higher than normal, and it is due to a number of different things.
So the glucose is like is sugar product? Is
sugar.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, in your blood circulation. So what happens with insulin? So there's this word insulin, and insulin helps to when you're eating something, your blood glucose then obviously will be in your circulation, your blood circulation, and then insulin gets activated to release to be able to tell all the cells in our bodies, hey, let this glucose into your cells. Because that helps to be able to nourish the cells. The cells need glucose as well. And so what happens is that when in type 1 diabetes, for example, and type 1 diabetes is actually an autoimmune, it's different to type 2 diabetes where you develop it from lifestyle, but type 1 is actually from, you can actually be born with it, with some sort of genetic variants and family history. And so you can, what happens is that the insulin is not produced because the islet cells from the pancreas is not able to produce. It's destroyed. It's not able to actually produce insulin to tell the cells in our body, hey, unlock and allow the glucose to come in.
Okay, so
that's
type
why the
1
glucose
diabetes
remains high.
Okay, so the type 1 diabetes, the body is not producing insulin, and insulin is like the little key that opens the cells and that allows the glucose to go in. What about type 2 diabetes? Yes. How is that different from type 1? So people with type 2 diabetes, do they produce insulin as per normal?
Yes, they do. However, because of the body being continually increasing blood glucose, the pancreas is working super hard, and it works super hard to a point where it starts to actually go, man, this is getting really tiring, and the cells are also losing their sensitivity to insulin. So this is where people who have insulin resistance, they're pre-diabetic, and so there is less of that sensitivity for the cells to go, we want to be able to have these glucose in. So that's the difference. Insulin is still able to be produced, but the cells are not as responsive to insulin anymore, and so that's when you actually can develop type 2 diabetes.
Okay, so type 2 diabetes, basically your body becomes less responsive to insulin, so that means that a lot of that glucose just remains on the blood. So is there any problem with having that insulin, that glucose in the blood? Why can't we just leave it there and just, and eventually I believe that the body will do something with it, wouldn't it?
Well, yes, but your cells need glucose. You can actually if your cells are not being fed with glucose, that's when it becomes a problem. Then you start to feel tired and all sorts of different things with issues of energy and people fainting and not being able to actually get the glucose into the cell.
Oh, I see. So by starving ourselves from glucose, we get a lot of problems. And I would imagine that having that whole blood, that sugar circulating in the blood, well, it shouldn't be there circulating in the long term. That also brings up problems to the body.
Yeah. Well, because cells take on glucose as a primary source of energy, and it breaks it down and then releases into the form of what we call as the energy currency, which is ATP. And so it really does. Now, look, it's probably another conversation we have about glucose and fat and what kind of it helps to provide some sort of ATP production, but so if your body is not, if your cells are not able to actually take on the glucose from what you're eating, obviously you're not going to get the benefit from what you eat.
And how is the lifestyle connected to type 2 diabetes? What have we found?
Yeah, so there are a number of risk factors with lifestyle that is of poor diet. So that when I say poor diet, it's high in refined carbs and refined sugar, high in saturated and trans fats. So that's one aspect that increases the development of insulin resistance, right? Not even you get into type 2 diabetes. And physical inactivity, not moving much, and excess body fat, that increases also the risk factor in developing insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. And also genetics or family history. Stress, high cortisol can also continue.
Wow. Even stress.
Even stress can actually induce insulin resistance, not being able to sleep well. So if you have poor sleep, whether you're sleep deprived for various reasons, that also does not allow for the body to heal and the hormones to be normalized. And so hormonal imbalance also increases the risk factor for developing insulin resistance. So this is like really simple. Yeah, a number of different things. And if you're, depending on what your cultural background, that also increases the risk of type 2 diabetes. So particularly those, like Asian background. I have an Asian blood, and so we are at risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And then there is also others who, with the African origins, they're also let me think at the top of my head. Sorry, I can't remember all of the list of those who are actually at increased risk in terms of their ethnicity.
Wow, but so there's a number of factors. So what I actually wanted to ask you is, like, if you had like 30 seconds to talk about to people with diabetes, what would you be telling them? What's the counsel that you would be given?
Yes. Well, look, I'm not a doctor. I'm a researcher. So I can't really make, and obviously first thing you need to do is, like, obviously everyone needs to get themselves checked. And one of the things, once you get yourself checked, see your GP, your doctor. And when you do actually have, you've been diagnosed, whether it's pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetes, the thing that doctors would say is you need to actually change your diet. You need to actually move more. They may need to go into take on a medication such as metformin to help them with the insulin, and as well as the getting the glucose into the system. And so this is where we need to. There's a change of lifestyle that is required. Now, sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming, like, oh, what is a change of lifestyle? And so this is where people can actually get help from the government. And what I'm going to what will be shared as well at the brunch is what are some ways that people can get support from NDIS in terms of like from Diabetes Australia. They're actually going to be sharing what are some things that you can get support. But yeah, I think having been part of a program to help you improve your lifestyle is actually really good, because it can be overwhelming, to be able to know where you can actually, how to start, how do I actually eat, how do I move, and where do I be, especially if you're fully overweight or, so there's a number of different things with lifestyle changes that can, people that can actually help you to.
So this coming Sunday, what
that.
time again and location?
10 a.m.
10 a.m. And what's the location again in Sydney?
41 Doonside Road, Doonside, at Mountain View Adventist College.
Mountain View Adventist College, yes. And then if someone wants to register to that, they can send us a message here. We can share with them the link. Christina, thank you so much for your work in raising awareness for diabetes and to helping people out to navigate that quite challenging condition.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.